You're watching TVC Breakfast. It's time for us to take a look at the headlines across Nigerian newspapers. And I have my regulars here to help me make sense of all of these. I have Onyegbule here with me. good morning. Honorable Onyegbule, good morning.
Just stop.
You want them to query me. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Well and Odufowokan is here as well. Good morning. Great. You believe me when we say, I don't want them to query me, so that honorable has to be there. She earned it, yes. You know. All right. Now let's get into business now. Business Day is where we're starting from. Business Day says, Dangote, Nestle, others lift stock market first time in 8 months. Dangote, Nestle, others lift stock market first time in 8 months. Okay, let's go to News Direct. 16.39 trillion fiscal framework. Senate alleges revenue diversion by MDAs. All right, and approves revised fiscal framework and orders MDAs to generate 1 trillion naira revenue annually. Okay, budget issues. National economy says Nigerians spent 17 trillion naira abroad on health, tourism, education in 10 years. Nigerians spent 17 trillion naira abroad on health, tourism, education in 10 years. Okay. From there, the Punch newspaper. The Punch says, high budget deficit, don't harm our future. Experts warn government as federal government plans more loans. Naira will fall further. Inflation will rise. Debt servicing will worsen. Experts are saying all these. And government will continue to borrow to finance projects. No money, says minister. There's no money anywhere. That's what the minister is saying. Okay, so we need to finance the budget by more borrowings. The Nation newspaper is next. Minister, government will borrow to fund 6.2 trillion naira budget deficit. As the Minister of Finance, revenue not enough for critical projects. Buhari presents 16.39 trillion naira estimates today. Okay, let's go to Daily Times. It says, Anambra governorship poll, Obiano government, PDP can, others cake as federal government threatens to invoke emergency rule. Okay, we might have to look at that as we get along on the discussion. Daily Independent is next. Federal government gets knocks over emergency rule threat in Anambra State. Okay, that's Daily Independent. This Nigeria is next. Killings, wanton destructions, the red flag. Federal government may declare emergency rule in Anambra, says the AGF, Abubakar Malami, vows to ensure election holds in that state. Okay, we will talk about this as we get along. Leadership newspaper, focusing on insecurity. Federal government more state of emergency in Anambra. That's what the leadership is saying. Federal government more state of emergency in Anambra. All right, and Nigerians are already reacting to this. First News is also on Anambra. State of emergency likely, says the federal government, seeks to ensure next governorship election holds. And that should take place on the 6th of November. Okay, that's First News. Still talking of Anambra. Blueprint newspaper. Anambra Goba, PDP cries foul as federal government considers state of emergency. PDP cries foul as federal government considers state of emergency. We have a responsibility to ensure democratic order. Malami saying that. Perish the thought. It's ploy to rig poll. Olobodio and Abga saying that's the spokesperson of the PDP. Ohaneze cautions military on escalation of violence there in Anambra State. Right, that's the Blueprint newspaper. It's still part of what we'll be talking about as we open discussions. Daily Trust is next. IPOB killings, federal government more state of emergency in Anambra. Malami confirmed our worst fears. State government is saying this. And take order to Zamfara. Katsina, Abga says. And APC planning to rig. That's the PDP is saying this. They are living in the past. Ruling party is saying this. All right, all that on the front page of the Daily Trust. Daily Sun is next. Federal government threatens state of emergency in Anambra. State government, PDP Ohaneze, Iwanyango, others cake. All right, all still reactions to the move or the likelihood of a state of emergency in Anambra State. Okay, New Telegraph is next. Insecurity, federal government threatens emergency rule in Anambra. Explains open grazing ban may drag southern states before Supreme Court over value-added tax. PDP, Samba, others kick. All right, all this on the front page of the New Telegraph. From there, let's go to Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune says lawyers Afenifere Ohaneze, PDP question federal government's threat of a state of emergency in Anambra. Okay, that's the Nigerian Tribune. Vanguard is next. Anambra polls uproar as federal government threatens emergency rule. Federal government's threat unacceptable, unconstitutional. Middle Belt Forum is saying this smacks of hidden agenda. All right, all this, all reactions to this. All right, that's the last one we're looking at now. So let's get into the discussions proper now. Dari and Ife are here. We'll start with Dari on this. Dari, I wonder what you make. If you look at the Blueprint newspaper, PDP cries foul as federal government considers state of emergency. When the Minister of Justice and Attorney General made that press conference talking about the likelihood of all of these things as a way of stemming the insecurity in the southeast and Anambra State, there has been a lot of reaction. What do you make of this? Because everyone is saying there has to be the governorship election in Anambra State.
They look at the situation in Anambra today requires one to be very objective and cautious at the same time. Because I wonder what else we want here soon. The federal government, according to the Attorney General, having tried all possible options, according to the Attorney General, may be forced to impose a state of emergency just for the election to hold in Anambra. The gubernatorial election is a constitutional matter, failing which there will be a serious constitutional lacuna, which can only lead to another state of emergency. You don't get what I'm saying? If there is no governorship election, the people there will not be allowed to continue. So we will still going to have an issue on our hand. That is one. Two, the declaration of a state emergency is not something anybody in a democracy will welcome. We saw it in Plateau. We witnessed it in Ekiti. And these are not, it will not deepen our democracy. It will rather take us back to the darker ages. Having explained both sides, what do we do to ensure that Anambra does not go down in history as a state where we will be needing the doctrine of necessity very soon? We cannot deny the fact that with the state of insecurity in that state now, any serious government would think twice before asking election to be held normally as it used to be. But is it that there is nothing else that can be done? I disagree. The issue is for the people of Anambra. It's not just Anambra. We are singling out Anambra now because of the gubernatorial election. But the whole of the southeast today is turning to a killing field. Senseless killings, unnecessary attacks. You cannot be attacking your own people in the name of fighting for freedom. What freedom? At what cost? With the blood of your own best? Sentiments apart, I feel for the people of the southeast, because whoever is thinking for those carrying out these attacks are not doing any sensible thinking. And that is why it is difficult to continue to oppose the federal government's consideration of a state of emergency. Rather, I would say, for the federal government not to get to that stop, the people government and leaders of Anambra and the Southeast in its entirety should sit down and ensure that safety, relative peace, reasonable sanity returns to that region, so that the federal government, look at what PDP came out to say, it's a plot to rig. What options are they bringing? You don't just condemn something. I want the PDP to give an option. Don't declare state of emergency.
Okay.
This is how it can be done.
All right.
Then we can begin to take them serious.
We will talk about this. Of course, I'll allow Ify to react to this after we go on the short break. You're watching TVC Breakfast. Let's go on the break. We'll be right back now.
Enjoy faster connectivity and amazing discounts in the Airtel HBB seasonal offer. Get a MiFi for 9,999 Naira plus up to 55 GB data, or a router for 19,999 Naira plus up to 160 GB data. Offer valid while stock lasts. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by
Airtel, the smartphone network.
The north is so beautiful, and the food, it's nothing like I have ever tasted before. The color,
vibrant. What about the aroma?
the aroma, oh gosh, smells just like this one.
This smells so good.
Yeah. Your Dambo Shinkafa tastes even better. How did you do it?
Onga seasoning. It's all the seasonings you need for great taste and aroma.
Onga, Mama's helping hand.
Helen Paul! Hello, madam. Would you like to join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I have been using it for years.
Oh, madam. The regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To disinfect your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for germs and stains remover. Harpic sticker formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergent and bleach.
Wow!
Give your kids winning energy. Milo Active Go, with the goodness of malts, milk, and cocoa, helps them make the most of every day. Milo, the energy to go further.
You're watching TVC Breakfast. On the headlines today, most of the papers today are talking about the likelihood of a state of emergency in Anambra State, as stated by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice. And there are lots of reactions to that already, and that's all we're looking at. I have Dario Odufowokan here as well as Ify Onyegbule. Now, Ify, I wonder what your reaction is to this. Now, some of the reaction from PDP and other people, they're saying, well, as much as it is within the purview of the federal government to impose a state of emergency, but that the government has all it takes to quell the problem in Anambra State if they want to, without necessarily imposing a state of emergency. What do you make of this?
But I want to agree with that, you know, to some extent. But let me also look at some of the things that Dari actually talked about before you went on that break. So much is happening right there in the region. It's Anambra we're hearing now. Remember, I think one other state will be having elections in a few years. What exactly is it going to be? Are we going to see the crime or the killings in the southeast abate in the next how many months or even a year before the elections for 2023? Now, this is just the governorship we're looking at, and look at what it is that's going on in Anambra. Be that as it may, he just talked about this idea of doctrine of necessity, something that people need to be, you know, to bring to the front burner. We saw what happened in Jos Plateau State when they had to declare a state of emergency. It's happened in Ekiti when they had to declare a state of emergency. And you know exactly what happens when it gets to the stage where government says, look, it is gotten out of hand. We need to do something about it. That's what I'm seeing that is going to happen now. It's going to disrupt a lot of things. But as the people who said, look, the federal government has the powers, it has the chest to actually quell what it is that's going on there. Now, when you see that there are soldiers littered all over the place, you have an idea what the people will also say. So it is now between the devil and the deep blue sea. It's like killing a fly now with a sledgehammer, you know, hanging somewhere around a man. I don't have to say that on air. But government needs to wake up, do something about it. This may not be the best thing that would happen. People will be aggravated. Now, the politicians are coming out. Every time we play politics with what it is that's happening, people are dying. We're playing politics. PDP is saying, look, it's a ploy to rig. Which elections? Only people who are alive come out to vote. Exactly. If you understand what I'm saying. You've got to be alive and well first. Then you can find your PVC and you can get out there and vote. So I'm just saying we need to stop playing politics, so that we don't look back and begin to regret the things that we did or the things that we didn't do as regards what's happening in Anambra.
Okay. Now, Dario, when it comes to the synergy to work towards ensuring that the Anambra polls hold peacefully, could there have been any other way that the federal government could engage Anambra state government as to what can we do together? This is a plan that we have towards ensuring that the election hold peacefully and all of that, without necessarily talking about or without necessarily hearing where the state government and hearing from the media how the Attorney General is talking about the possibility of a state of emergency.
Yeah, you see, I've made it clear. This is a dicey situation. And if he graphically described it in a manner that you couldn't finish saying on air, and you can know the level of seriousness. You see, the question is germane, and I think we should ask the federal government. We had the election in Yobe, in Borno, in Adamawa,
in Zamfara, in Kebbi.
In Kebbi, in 2019. We had the elections there without necessarily declaring a state of emergency. How did we do that? You see, it is when you begin to do good, you know, when you do good with some extra coloring at times, it starts looking like you are doing bad. Don't let's color what is happening in the southeast. It is as bad as what has been happening in the northeast
as well.
If we find a way around it in those states, not just the governorship election, general election. We did have election in those states in 2019, in 2015.
With valid results.
At the thick of violence, with valid results. Let's go back to the drawing board, dig out the strategies we used to achieve that without a state of emergency. Let's apply it in Anambra. I am not saying that is the best thing to do. I'm only saying it will look like the fairest thing to do. Whatever is good for the goose is good for the gander. Because people will read meanings. A state of emergency is a tool of governance to quell violence and allow normalcy to return gradually, yes. But even as much as it is reasonable in the case of Anambra today and the southeast, I would ordinarily jump at the idea. But if he said, in everything, we play politics. So that we don't end playing into the hands of those who want to politicize this entire thing for their own benefit or whatever reason. Let us consider the fact that we've had similar or worse situations in some states in the past. We held elections without the declaration of a state of emergency. So also that the ruling party will not justify and confirm the allegations by opposition that they are looking for ways of rigging elections. Dump the idea of state of emergency. Look at how, but we must live with the fact that the region, the northeast, was heavily militarized.
Okay.
during these elections.
Okay.
So for the people, if it is not a state of emergency and you see the government doing something else, we should also know that we cannot just fold our arms and watch. Something has to be done.
Okay. All right. Now, if we, amidst all of these uncertainties in Anambra State, residents just want to do their own thing. The politics and all of that issue around them, they don't want to know. Theirs is, can I go out and do my business? And then on the day of election, can I just go there, drop my vote, and leave? That's what they want. But amidst all of these uncertainties from, okay, is there going to be a state of emergency? Oh, IPOB will say, okay, everybody stay at home, otherwise, you know, and then the state government will say, no, everybody go out and vote, and all of that. How would this impact on the apathy and voter turnout today?
That's just the word, apathy. Let's even bring to the fore the idea of the sit at home. You just hear it, and I say to people, who even comes up with the report or the news or the order to say sit at home? You know, but people just get to hear it. They're so afraid to step out because they don't want to fall victim, because people look at you and say, okay, we said sit at home. You don't want to sit at home, then we destroy your businesses and all of that. So that apathy will always be there, whether or not the government declares a state of emergency in Anambra as the elections draw near. It is going to happen. People are afraid. There's nobody who will say they're not afraid to die. Now, you're stepping out, you don't even know what's going to happen. Look at what's going on. Every day you wake up on the pages of newspapers, people are being killed, people are being taken away, kidnapped, you know, being torn apart from their families. It's not something anyone wants to go through. So, the apathy will be there, whether we like it or not. Now, it is the job of government. And that's why I keep asking the question, what happened to the National Orientation Agency that's supposed to pacify the people, come up with key messages so that people understand that, look, yes, we know there's something wrong somewhere, but you can still get out there to vote. So it is something that we all need to do. The media needs to also get involved so that people understand exactly what it is that's going on. They need information, and when you give them the right information, I'm sure that a lot of things will fall into place.
All right. And when there is adequate information, then it reduces instances of fake news and even hate speeches and disinformation. Thank you so much, Onyegbule, for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Honorable Onyegbule.
Thanks for having me.
Dario Odufowokan, thank you for coming on the program.
It is my pleasure.
Thank you.